It looks like I can't be in the dark as much as I would like to be in the dark because this new camera phone that I got, and I got it out of necessity, not because I wanted to, but because my old camera phone wasn't charging anymore. So I had to go make a new purchase. Yay. Love to do that. Love to upgrade. Anyway, this new phone seemingly has some kind of flash bulb thing that happens, so you can sort of see the vague outline of my face as I speak to you right now. And what I want to speak to you about is something that I know I've covered before, but I wanted to talk about it again more succinctly, because this is something that always comes up. It's the whole question of, it's wrapped up in the whole question of what if you believe that powerful people are doing incredibly terrible things, including to children, and this is happening all the time and probably continuing to happen as much under any so-called different regime or political party or whatever. It's probably just a constant, and there's evidence for it. It's not. This isn't just the fevered imagination of deluded, paranoid people, and that's just it. That's I think what the this is my take on why these kinds of things aren't as hidden as one thinks they would be. They are to a degree hidden and kept from the public, and they're making efforts to hide them on the internet now. They're trying to make it so that you can't. I mentioned, I gave as an example the George Bush speech about the New World Order that he gave during a State of the Union address on September 11th, 1990. You can't find that anymore on YouTube if you type in George Bush, New World Order, 1990, September 11th, or whatever, any combination of those search items. You can't find that speech on YouTube anymore. They've obviously hidden it, and they've hidden a ton of things. But the fact is, those things are out there to be seen, and you don't have to look that hard to see how the official story, I'm doing air quotes even though it's in the dark now because I know I can sort of be seen, to see how the official story falls to pieces when you examine it, with any kind of scrutiny whatsoever. It's not even that, it's a house of cards, essentially. So why, when they could surely make it all very airtight, why don't they make sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, and there's no trace, there's no residue of any kind of doubt when they run these kinds of operations in which they orchestrate these terrible things, including crimes against the innocent. Well, it's my opinion that, and this is just my take on things. I'm going to try to make this somewhat succinct. I don't want to go on too much longer about this, but I believe that they, however you want to look at it, the universe compels them to have to leave certain breadcrumbs, so to speak. And it compels them, some principle in the universe, some principle of good in the universe, let us say. I don't want to get too specific about religion or theology, and I always try to keep an open. I try to speak with the notion that I'm addressing a big tent of different kinds of people of all different kinds of faiths and people of no faith, because I don't believe you need. Well, I'm a believer in faith. I don't believe you need faith to know what's right and what's wrong, and to be able to see through nonsense, charades, houses of cards. So this principle in the universe, if you will, has fixed things in a manner that the doers of evil have to in some way, ensnare themselves or leave behind some kind of residue, some kind of evidence. Again, and I don't think these things are unimportant. I don't think that they're just pissed-on breadcrumbs. This is one of the reasons, this, as a Quantum of Conscience has put it, this is one of the reasons I stopped listening to or following Quantum of Conscience some time ago, because he always seems to talk as if anytime you're on the trail of something like this, that's something that points you to the fact that these official stories are absolutely without merit, and you just pull the string a bit, and again the whole thing comes apart. But Q of C seems to think that that they just want you to focus on this stuff, and it's all just a misdirection. And no, I don't believe that at all. I think it's very important to see these things and understand them and put them in perspective and take them into your consciousness, because when you do that, you start to imbibe the truth of the way things are, the way things are done, the way the power grid, if you will, behaves habitually, systemically. And so, no, it's not just, misdirection. It's not just something that's designed to keep you distracted. I think these are things that is important to notice and important to talk about. So here's the thing, though. The question, I said this was going to be succinct. Sorry, getting close to the 10-minute mark here. But I think my belief, and I didn't create this, I didn't make this up. I think others have said this before, but it's my belief that this principle in the universe, this metaphysical principle, which makes it so that the people who do these things, these very powerful entities who do these things, and who could conceivably be able to cover them up much better, but what makes them look so sloppy is that they have to leave this trail behind, because the world has to be made accountable. The world has to be accountable. The people of the world have to be accountable. The people of the world have to be culpable. And And so when you make it so that um, anyone could find out, uh, anyone can know if they just look at things a little more closely. Um, you don't even need magic glasses like Roddy Piper and They Live. You just look at you just study things with some discernment, and some scrutiny. You do that, and it's like you reel from the shock at how obvious it is, and you don't want it to be. You don't want it to be true. You don't. You really don't. Um, I was just thinking, it's been 7 years since I sort of was initiated into this kind of this kind of bitter knowledge. Just not because of anything that happened to me, but just because, just from looking at things, just from studying things, and I terribly wanted it not to be true, but I couldn't convince myself of that. There was too much evidence for it, and it completely tore my guts out. I mean, I was I was in a room, a dark room, much like this, on a bed, much like the one on which I'm lying now, just bawling my eyes out because uh, it was so unbearable that it should be so. Um, and it was like you get some kind of trauma by osmosis, or some kind of trauma via uh, what's the term? It's like some kind of sympathetic trauma, or secondary trauma, where just being a witness to it, or being a witness to it in the sense of hearing about it, knowing about it, just packs a punch. So, okay, I better try to wrap things up, so before I just get really, really non-succinct here. But so this idea, this principle that forces them to have to expose themselves, expose what they've done. Things like the Podesta letters coming out, to take one example, and all those terrible pictures from that same era of Abramovich and her whole sick crew, pertaining to certain a certain pizza restaurant in a certain nation's capital. By the way, please check out my work, Meta Pizzagate, just to throw in a stupid plug there. But it's not that I'm benefiting from it. I don't pocket the proceeds for this, for a book on that subject. That would be, to me, unconscionable. Not that I get that. Not that I make that much off of it either. But anyway, if you're interested, if this is something that has gotten its talons into you, then please feel free to check it out on my author's page. But so this stuff comes out, and it makes it so that the people of the world are culpable, because we know what really happened. It's And it puts us in a certain position where if we don't do something to indicate that we know what's going on and that we do not approve and that we do not consent, then we're like akin to somebody who's witnessed a crime taking place and who's done nothing. Same could be said. Of course, people put these kinds of things at some distance from themselves, and it's easier to do that, but they're nevertheless culpable in the sense that it's right there for them to see it. And I think a way of, again, relieving ourselves of this culpability is probably not to become a vigilante, just because that's not the prudent way to act, especially if you have a family, but even if you don't, prudence is, someone once told me, prudence is the queen of all the virtues, and there's truth to that. And prudence doesn't mean you just you wuss out. It doesn't mean that you don't do anything. It just means you say to yourself, what can I do that would be wise? That would be both a good thing to do and also a wise thing to do, Be innocent as doves and shrewd as serpents. That's prudence. It's a golden mean, if you will. So, I think we all have to find a way, each in our own way, to respond, to register, number one, that we know what's going on, number two, that we do not consent nor do we approve of what's going on. The fact is we probably aren't going to be able to stop these things from happening unless we're in a specific situation where maybe that's a possibility, but otherwise they're probably still going to happen. They're probably still happening now as we speak. But we have to take a stand, each in our own way. And I think, again, without getting too theological or religious here, I believe we were created in the likeness of our Creator, and our Creator is a being who creates, who is creative. He created the world, He created us, He created everything. And we humans are capable of creating, following in our Father's footsteps, if you will, and creating things ourselves. And I think for me, the videos I record and especially my writing, is my effort to be accountable, to take a stand. Not that everything I write about or everything I talk about is related to Pedogate, but just in a broader sense, that is true. I think you, whoever you are, if you're watching this and you are digging what I'm saying here, it's up to you to find your way of taking a stand, without becoming a vigilante necessarily, but employing prudence, but still, you know, having the balls to take a stand. How are you going to do it? That's up to you. But I think it's incumbent upon all of us to do it. Otherwise, we are culpable. We are like witnesses to a crime who have refused to do anything about it, to report it to anyone who could do something about it, or anything like that. We've just looked the other way because we don't want to get involved, or because we've told ourselves, no, that's not really a crime. That's not actually happening. That's just a conspiracy theory that crime is happening over there. We've got to do better than that. But each in our own way, I believe. All right, I'll wrap it up there. Thanks for watching. Talk to y'all soon.